2017, the Village of Elk Grove as well as Enclave Foundation. We didn't get it, but we were a finalist, and we heard that we're supposed to, which I think is lovely, go for it again next year. So from what we hear from people who know things like this, that they don't usually say that unless they think there's a pretty good chance of getting it in the next go-round. The people who won it were giant universities. I thought the government was looking for innovative programs. They chose universities. Next year they will choose Enclave. I no question about that. Ricky, I am so glad you're here. The Teacher of the Year 2017, heard so much about him from not only his colleagues but from students. And Ricky, thank you for being here, and tell us your truth, if you please. Sure.
Good evening, and thank you for being part of the celebration here tonight. It is an honor to be the 2017 Illinois Teacher of the Year and represent the wonderful city of Elk Grove. Elk Grove has been part of my life since I was a child. My dad worked in the industrial park for about 25 years, and I have a lot of great memories of this area since he used to bring my brothers and I to his job on weekends. I love the forklift rides, and it was really fun to just kind of experience this area since my childhood. And that being said, thank you to the city of Elk Grove for using its vision of the industrial park to help others, such as those like my family. So big applause to Elk Grove Village. And it's important to see the other coin, my parents looking for a better future, and Elk Grove responding to that in some way. And so thank you for that. Tonight I'm deeply humbled because the truth is my presence on this stage is statistically unlikely. For I am a child of generational poverty. I was an ELL student. I was involved in gangs as a teenager growing up in Chicago. And I was the recipient of straight Fs during my first semester of high school. And I didn't go to Elk Grove High School, just so you know. Okay. I'm also one of the few male Latino teachers in education. But I believe that my story is why we are here tonight. My story reflects the sacrifice and wonderful leadership of others in my life. I believe we are here to celebrate and honor those of us that serve and fight for our country by using leadership that reflects our democratic principles. The democratic principles of empathy, cooperation, responsibility, and justice remind me that each of us is responsible for this fight in all facets of our life. And I've been hearing a lot of this as the mayor spoke, as Mr. Kelly spoke, and it really resonates what my vision and my heart thrive for. And throughout this time, it has become evident that the beauty of being a leader in our professions, our families, and our communities lies in developing the life-changing relationships that consequently unleash the potential of our wonderful students, employees, families, and anyone around us. And I'd like to ask a question tonight. How many of you here tonight have roles in life that require you to lead others? Of course, it's a very simple question. I knew everyone was going to raise their hand because we all have families, or we all have to lead ourselves, right? So, and the way I see it, we have three options to choose from when leading others. And for me, this is very important because my family background is very authoritative, dictatorship style, because Latinos tend to have come from colonialism, and we were under Spanish rule for many years. And so it was always a hierarchy. My dad was the king. My mom was like, I don't know, I want to call her a peasant, but she was like lower in command, and we were more servants. And so my dad, whatever he said, we better have listened. If not, we were gonna see the king in action. Okay? And so, there's a lot of leadership styles, and I'd like to share because I think this is what has helped me with the support of others and just by seeing it in other people. The first is through fear and punishment. This reflects the belief that it's my way or the highway. The belief that we must control everything to feel secure. It most resembles a dictatorship instead of a democracy. And according to research, this type of leadership breeds relationships that have profound barriers. It creates lack of initiative, a culture of insensitivity, and mutual distrust. This is not what we are looking for in a democratic society. We need a style that leads to courage, responsibility, cooperation, respect, a willingness to take risks and create problem-solving skills in order to compete in an ever-changing world. And mind you, I've learned my lesson in marriage as well, not to try this on your wife, okay? My wife is very strong. She's Peruvian. She's a very strong woman. So definitely I learned from life there. And I clearly remember people like my 8th grade teacher that would send me to the office as she yelled that I was going to be a failure in life, with the goal of having me respect her through fear and punishment. This only caused me to rebel even more, and it did not fix the real problem driving my misbehavior and lack of productivity. The second type of leadership is the laissez-faire philosophy, or leadership without direction or limits. This leadership places very few demands on students, employees, officials, families. It lacks direction or intentionality. There is a lack of participation or limits set by the leader. The consequences of being permissive are that it creates self-centered workers, children, students, members of society. It fosters low self-esteem and creates strong wills against authority. This also is not what we are looking for in a democratic society. And this reminds me of one of my sophomore teachers that would just give us handouts throughout the year and sit at the front of the room expecting us to learn by ourselves. She did not have the courage or discipline to lead by example or set clear expectations. This made our class feel like we were not important and gave us the idea that we had the right to do what we wanted. We would respond with a sense of entitlement and strong will against any authority she tried to put into place because she had created a culture of permissiveness. Our productivity was fragmented and incomplete because of the lack of direction and participation. And now I would like to go to the third type of leadership. As I reflect on my personal experience, I clearly believe that what democracy needs is leadership through service. This is the leadership that inspires and sets an example through sacrifice and love. We need to proactively anticipate and prevent problems, develop a culture of mutual respect, reinforce just discipline, maintain communication, motivate all parties to become involved in the problem-solving processes. And as I share my ideas tonight, I want to be practical. So let me share the FLAC method with you tonight. I continue to practice this and understand it to be a catalyst for democracy. The first component is all about feelings. F stands for feelings. The leader shares and listens to the different perspectives and feelings when dealing with a goal, a problem, or a vision. Empathy is created here, and as we know, empathy is needed in a democracy. L stands for limits. Leaders create and sustain a vision and the moral principles that guide institutions, families, and classrooms. And they lead by example by living these limits and these principles. The A represents alternatives and options. It offers workers, students, officials the chance to solve their own problems with the active involvement of the leadership in place. This is where we multiply leadership and foster the problem-solving skills needed for a democracy and the next generation. Last but not least is the consequences, is the C, the consequences. The leader sets consequences as a final and needed resort to create leadership in those unwilling to do it by their own initiative or to preserve the integrity of the institution. The difference between the first style is that dictators do not talk about feelings, limits, or problem-solving processes. They move directly to the consequences. This is also different when compared to the permissive style because it includes consequences, limits, and problem solving. And to elaborate, let me provide a few examples. Students were coming in late from lunch a few years ago. So this was my 5th period. And it started with 2 on the first day, 4 on the second, and then it turned to 7 on the 3rd day. And whoa, I needed to quickly maintain my integrity and my classroom management system there. So I shared my feelings. So I started with the FLAC method. I shared that I was upset and I felt this was a classroom context conversation. And I shared I was upset because I felt disrespected and it really disrupted the class. They shared that they were late because there were long lines at Panera, Chipotle during the lunch hours, of course, and sometimes they didn't notice the time. We had created empathy by listening to each other, so I moved to the limits. I shared the vision of life and responsibility that our school holds. As many of you may know, being late affects a future career. I shared that they needed to be responsible and respect those that really care about them. I tried to transmit the why it was wrong to be late. Then, in order to foster the sense of democracy, I let them find solutions to this problem by transitioning to the alternatives and options. It offered students the chance to have a voice and become critical thinkers. Students were given a chance to solve their own problems before I hit them with the consequences. They were innovative and came up with their own incredible solutions. They decided to set their alarms, order online ahead of time. And I don't know if you guys have heard of Uber Eats. It's a thing now. And so, and consequently, this worked out for most, and they learned a valuable skill and lesson. They learned to solve their own problems and to be responsible. And of course, there's always a few that need the consequences, and that's also important. But the goal of consequences is to create leadership in them. And I've also been blessed to have wonderful leaders around me to show me what leadership through service means. For example, when I was first hired by Mr. Kelly, he sat with me at a local Starbucks by my house, and he shared his concern for certain groups of students and his desire to make a difference. I also shared my feelings and perspectives on the types of initiatives we should take. Mr. Kelly thereafter shared his limits as they relate to the pedagogical philosophy. They revolve around challenging, supporting, and being patient. He provided a vision for a school that we could believe in. He led by example as he would visit the community. I don't know if you know, he used to run to the trailer parks. He used to participate in all these activities, and he still does. And so it was leadership through example. And by the way, I'm tenured, so I don't need to say this. He offered his employees a chance to have a voice and become critical thinkers by giving us options and alternatives. Teachers were given a chance to solve their own problems by discussing solutions and out-of-the-box thinking. We decided to include the students in the problem-solving process, and many award-winning initiatives came about. Feedback and concerns were given in areas of growth during our yearly evaluation and in order to create the leadership needed for our changing school system. Time and time again, we must remind ourselves what our role as leaders is. We must lead by example and inspire others as we provide opportunities for democracy in our workplace, at our homes, and in our communities. And I would like to end by thanking the organizers of this event. It's very inspirational. Thank you so much. I think it's very much needed. We need lights in our world, and this is a great platform to do that. And I'd also like to give a shout out to Elk Grove High School in District 214 for allowing its people to be innovative and supporting them in the process. And last but not least, I thank God for His grace as I marvel at the wonderful opportunities I have been given. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Ricky. With great pleasure, I introduce a personal friend, a client, a colleague, a compatriot, somebody who has really become very important in my life. His beautiful young daughters and wife I've met and just enjoy them so much. But Captain Richard Michael also has quite a history at Naperville, where in Naperville they love this man. And we had the Naperville Chamber of Commerce here. I spoke at the Naperville Rotary recently. And my goodness, I heard the following: "We want you back." And then I heard the chief say, "No way." So he is here for good, and we are delighted. Chief Michael.
Give me an audience and a microphone. It did teach me that I should speak from my notes and stay on point here. So it's wonderful to be at the Enclave here this evening. Thank you very much. It's always good to be here. This institution of learning and development that's brought so much incredible talent here from the international market here to Elk Grove Village over the few years it's been opened. And congratulations to Mr. John Dallas and the Drs. Morrison for making that happen. It's been a wonderful experience here. As you've heard, my name is Richard Michael, and I'm very proud to represent the men and women of the Elk Grove Village Fire Department, many who are here today. I've been the fire chief here in Elk Grove Village since 2012. I'm losing my voice, so pardon me on that one. It's going away rapidly here. I've been the fire chief here in Elk Grove Village since 2012, and I think back to the first day that I worked here and how it got incredibly uncomfortable, incredibly fast. I was up in Mayor Johnson's office with him and the village manager, Ray Rummel, and we were sitting there talking, and the mayor said, your first mission here with the Elk Grove Village Fire Department is to train your replacement. I was like, train my replacement? I don't even know where I sit yet, and you want me to train my replacement? But what he was telling me, as Tom Peters has told other people in his books and in so many teachings, that leaders are not here to create followers, but leaders are here to create more leaders. That is our mission, and that was his message from the mayor to me that day. And I'd like to think that we've been doing that with the department here with this. I see the folks who are working here today. So it's been a wonderful experience working here. I can't say enough about it. This afternoon, as we talk about the title of the program, one of the things we like to do is find out what the definitions are that we're talking about, right? So we're talking about a community luminary leader program. So I turned to the good book of Merriam-Webster and see what they had to say about these words. Community, excuse me. Community is defined as a group of people living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common. That sounds right. You know, we're all in Elk Grove Village here. We're all working for the same thing. It's a beautiful thing. Luminaries are people who inspire or influence others, especially one prominent in a particular sphere. So each of us who are speaking here today, we've got some role in the community and a role in an organization that we represent. We're very proud of that. And then according to their dictionary, a leader is a horse that's placed in advance of other horses on a team. I was like, well, I'm not really sure how that one fits in, but I'm not making that up. That's their definition of a leader. And the more I thought about it, it's like, you know, it really is good to be the first horse in line. Much better than being the last horse in line, right? There's just some obvious reasons for that. So, yeah, we did find another definition, though, of a leader, using this term in the definition, being one who leads a group. So in each of these definitions, what we find is that the leader is not someone who's alone, right? The leader is simply part of a team that accomplishes a mission for an organization of some sort. So that's what we're doing here. So in October, I was honored and humbled and extremely grateful to be selected as the Illinois Fire Chief of the Year. And I received this award with Chief Andy Bonomo of the York Center Fire District. He serves in a different population category, so the two of us each received this award for our respective categories. And at first, this award was top secret. Nobody knew anything about it. But ever since then, it's been anything but secret, right? There's been newspaper articles. There's been several social media posts. There's been 2 formal presentations, one at the Chiefs Conference down in Peoria, one at the village board meeting right here. And then just recently, the village newsletter was delivered with my color picture on the front cover and an article about this award, to which my lovely daughter said in her best little girl voice ever, "Dad, do we have to see this again?" It's like, thank you for your support, honey. I really appreciate that. That was nice. And since then, it's actually been so well publicized that my colleague, Chief Chuck Walsh from the police department, high fives from kids, handshakes from men, hug from beautiful women, right? All for my award. Yeah, it's nice. I appreciate that. So it's worked out real well for the police chief as well lately, from what I understand. So Mr. Dallas asked us to come up here and speak about our feelings, and I think about Morris Albert right away, right? Feelings, we're going to sing that song. But, well, I was truly honored to receive this award, and it truly is a great honor. There's a lot of other emotions that go along with this, and I'll tell you, the first one was shock. It's like, could it be? You know, this was the best kept secret in Elk Grove Village history. There were so many people who were involved in developing this nomination, people who I work with every day, and not one of them broke that code of silence. I had no idea this award was coming until I received it in the mail. And it was incredible that they were able to do that. The second one was disbelief. It's like, okay, I just got this letter. Now, is this really happening? I couldn't wrap my arms around it at first. Is it really happening, or have my friends mastered a prank of some sort here? Because it just wasn't really sure, right? From there, that you develop a pride and satisfaction, as Paul Kelly had mentioned. You know, it was an intense pride that came along with this. I've received this award, and could it be that after working in this profession for 40 years, that my peers and my supervisors actually think that I am doing a good job? Could it be? And that came through. It was fantastic. So what you do next then is, well, then you have to start talking to people, right? So I called one of my old best friends, and I said, hey, I just got this award as the Fire Chief of the Year. and you want to talk about it, right? And you want to be happy about it. So what's his reply to me? He says, well, there's only 1,200 fire chiefs in Illinois. Is that really a big deal? Yeah, it's a big deal, right? Talked to another old friend who was a coach who tried, to help develop things at one point. And in one sentence, he didn't break word here. He goes, wow, that's great. What are you going to do next? I was like, I would like to enjoy this for a little bit first before we worry about what's next. But boy, that's that coaching spirit, the drive. What's going to happen next, right? So then we talk about some other emotions that come along with this. There's doubt, right? And you start looking at yourself and looking at other people. It's like out of 1,200 fire chiefs in the state of Illinois, how could it be that I possibly am the one person to get this award in that category? I know many of these fire chiefs, and I know a lot of them are doing amazing work. So how can it be that I was selected and not them? So the first thing is your friends help you realize, well, you're probably the only one nominated. It's like, thank you again for your support, but I did learn that there were others nominated as well, too. So that doubt that arose then led to a certain amount of discomfort. Because now I'm going to face these people again. I'm going to face these other chiefs who have done great things in the state, great things for other people, great things for their organization. And how am I going to face them now that I've received this award, but they have not? A little bit uncomfortable, right? And then how do I face the people in my own workforce? How do I go forward with that? Not everybody, when you're in a leadership position, not everybody is happy with the work you're doing. I mean, I think we can all agree on that, right? Not everybody looks at you and says, "Boy, we just love what you're doing. Thanks, boss." That's not the case. Some people have had to hear no for things that they've wanted, and that no has come from me, right? There's other people in our organization to whom I've had to issue disciplinary action. Those people certainly don't think I'm deserving of this award, right? But yet we got it. So there's a discomfort that comes along with that. Then I'm going to mention the financial component. When someone is awarded the Nobel Prize, there's $1 million, about $1 million that goes along with that prize. Mayor, just saying. There is no financial component to the Fire Chief of the Year award. Okay? In fact, what comes out of the Fire Chief of the Year award is, hey, Fire Chief of the Year is buying lunch. Hey, Fire Chief of the Year is buying breakfast. Hey, Fire Chief of the Year is buying the next round. I was telling John Dallas the other day, I'm a couple $100 into this already. This is costing me money as we go along. So, but that's okay, right? The last thing that comes out, the last emotion that comes out of this is guilt. And as funny as that might sound, it's like, how can this be when we talk about this? Most of our work that we do as people who are leading organizations is done through the hands of other people. Okay? There's other people who are out doing the work. We work together as a team. How could I possibly be recognized as an individual when I'm simply a small part of a large team that's doing good work? It makes that very uncomfortable. Again, it makes you guilty. As you've heard from the others who are up here this afternoon, none of us does our work alone. We're all surrounded by teams of people. We have direct and indirect associates who work with us and make our mission succeed. Here in our municipal setting, I'm one of the folks up here who works for the municipality, right? The citizens elect our officials, our mayor and our trustees. And those folks set the policy for the village, right? Then they hire the village manager, and he's expected to carry out those policies. The village manager appoints us as department directors, and we're expected to accomplish those missions that are laid out for the village. So everyone's working together on this, right? And then we, as the department directors, have our staff of people who work with us to take care of the actual hands-on work. What we do is entirely dependent on teamwork, and I'll give you some examples of this. For our fire personnel, we can only respond to an emergency incident. Someone who's having a medical emergency, when there's a fire, when there's a crash. The only way we can go there is when someone calls 911 and the 911 telecommunicator dispatches us to that location. We're entirely dependent on those folks, right? Our fire trucks and our ambulances can only go to that location and help those people if the technicians at Fleet Services in the Public Works Department keep those trucks maintained well and they're running properly. We'll work with them closely, right? Our operations personnel can only function in hazardous environments if we've got proper protective clothing, proper communications equipment, proper breathing apparatus, it's all maintained and operating properly, right? And we can only handle medical and human relation matters as we deal with people in the ambulances with proper training. And that training for our paramedics comes from doctors, nurses, psychologists, and other related professionals. So we're all working on this together. Our fire department personnel here in the community, we work side by side with people from public works, law enforcement, emergency management, other village departments on a daily basis. We help them, they help us. Our fire department also works closely with our educational partners and our business community. we all have the same goal in mind, and that goal is to make Elk Grove Village a strong community for residents and businesses, a community that supports and develops our workers and our students to maintain and further develop our reputation as the exceptional community. As one of the people today, again, who's actually employed by the village, it's important that we recognize the work that our elected officials do as well. Through the course of my career, this is the 6th community I've worked for. Yeah, I can't keep a job, right? Go ahead, who's going to say it? Right? I have never seen a more devoted group of elected officials in any community that I've worked at before. The care that these people have for this community, and the #1 concern of our elected officials is making Elk Grove Village a better place. Personal agendas aside, take care of Elk Grove Village first. I've not seen it this strong anywhere. We're so fortunate to have them who do that. Mayor Johnson and the village trustees have a vision for our community, and it shows in their day-to-day work. You know, we heard earlier about the Elk Grove Cares program. More than a dozen addicts have been able to facilitate their rehabilitation through the Elk Grove Cares program. Tremendous benefit to the people in this community. It shows in the 2025 project, where we have infrastructure improvements that are taking place across the village. It shows in our spectacular community events that we host year-round, and it shows in the unprecedented upcoming Makers Wanted Bahamas Bowl, something that's never been done before, but it's bringing even more international attention to Elk Grove Village. It's going to be good for every business, every hotel, every person in this community. It shows in the active participation that our elected officials have with residents and businesses and their communication they have. And yes, their vision for our community shows right in this very building that we're in meeting in here tonight, right? A couple of years ago, they decided that this would be something that the village should back. We entered into this public-private partnership to make this building and this enclave and everything that happens here a possibility. And it's been wonderful since then. All members of the fire department and our command staff have been participating in skills development sessions here at the enclave with Mr. Dallas and Dr. Morrison, as have other members of our village management team. This private and public partnership created what we now know as, I have to read the notes for this one, a local to global learning and earning center. How's that, right? Which focuses on the development of people. That's what makes this different. We focus here on the development of people, and once the people are developed, then they can develop their businesses. That's what we're looking for. Focus on people. One of the more valuable lessons that I've learned here, it's been reinforced, is that all of us have strengths. Every person in this room has strengths. And in a society where we tend to focus on people's weaknesses and shortcomings more than anything else, we should rather focus on those strengths. Now, this lesson is in stark contrast to grade school with Sister Jacinta and Sister Boniface and Sister Claudine. I had no strengths, and neither did anybody else, right? That just did not happen. And after being raised on guilt and faults and shame, the concept of embracing strengths and positive attributes 50 years later can be a difficult transition, but we're making it work. Here in Elk Grove Village, all members of our leadership team have completed the Strengths Finder assessment with Mr. John Dallas. Now, every Tuesday morning, stand by, when our directors meet, each of us brings our strengths assessment with us, and this gets put on the table in front of us. What does that do? That is a reminder for all of us to focus on our strengths as we engage with each other, right? A mission that we have here, taking care of the public and public safety and fire prevention and the finance and public works, it's difficult enough. And if we're bickering amongst ourselves and if we're not focusing on our strengths and working together, that can be a very difficult job. So every Tuesday morning, you'll see these on the table in the room where we're focusing on our strengths. And again, this valuable training has been made possible by the tremendous support of Mayor Johnson and the village trustees. So I'm sure my time is just about up by now. I just want to say on behalf of all of us who have shared the stage here this afternoon, thank you. Thank you to the people who provided support to us who have been here. Thank you to those of you who do the work, the very work for which we have received awards. It's greatly appreciated for what you folks do, right? And as we finish, hold on, I want to thank someone else who, thank you to the people who provided support. Thank you to the people who are doing the work. Thank you for the awards that we did receive. And as I finish, may I have one last wish for all of you to take forward with you here. That each of you are here and listening to this program tonight have the wisdom, the courage, and the patience to go forward in your chosen career and go back to your jobs and work to make a difference, to make a positive difference in what you're doing, right? And as you go forward to do that work, remember to try to develop more leaders as you go forward as well. Okay? Thank you very much for your attention. Appreciate it. Have a good